Greetings everyone, Ayida here, and today I'm going to be talking about traveling. So a little bit about my upbringing is that I traveled a whole lot growing up. I lived in Belize. Let's start at the beginning. I was born in Hawaii. Then we moved to California for a little while, and then we lived in Belize, Central America, and we came back to California. Then we moved to Jamaica. After we lived in Jamaica for a little while, we moved back to California, and then we lived in Atlanta. From Atlanta, we moved to St. Croix of the U.S. Virgin Islands. So I've lived quite a few different places, and one of the reasons was because my mother and her twin sister, my aunt, they enjoyed traveling. One of the things that I grew up around was just a lot of culture, a lot of diversity, a lot of different kinds of people, and a lot of different kinds of art. So I had a person contact me because my mother got a video converter. She lives in Chicago, and so we're not around, we don't live anywhere near each other, but she got a video converter, and she's been converting her VHS videos into a format where she can send me little clips of us living in Jamaica, and just other little clips that I've just really been sharing on Facebook, and a lot of my friends there have been enjoying seeing me as a teenager in Jamaica. So I had a sister contact me on Facebook and say, you know, it would be kind of neat for you to share a little bit about what it was like to travel. So I'm going to start from the first place, which was Hawaii. And the story is that my mom, when she was pregnant with me, her midwife had moved to Hawaii. I don't know why she had moved to Hawaii during that time, but so my mom, she decided she was going to go to her midwife from California. So she and her twin sister got on a plane when I guess she was just about to give birth to me, because I was supposedly almost born on the plane. She started having contractions and almost went into labor on the plane. I was born the next day in Hawaii. So when she got off the plane, they went to an island to find her midwife, but she wasn't there. She had gone to another island. I guess they were island hopping. So I ended up being born in Oahu, which is a beautiful island. I ended up being able to go back there as a young adult, so that was nice. And so that was my experience of my birth. And so shortly after, a few months after, my mom, my aunt, and me, we moved back to California, and her other son, my older brother, moved to California. And we moved back to California for a little while before deciding to go to Belize. The story is that we went to Belize a few times, back and forth from LA to Belize, LA to Belize, I think 3 times in all. So I have a picture of me really, really young, down on the bottom, that little girl down there, that's me in Belize. If you can see that. That lady is just a neighbor. I didn't know her. And here's another picture in Belize. I'm in the red. And one more. And so what part of Belize we were in was called Dangriga. That's me and my big brother on our way to school. Those are our uniforms, and you can see the background, the trees and the bushes and everything. And Dangriga was just a little town near a river, and it was just very rural. There were dirt roads. We didn't have electricity. We didn't have bathrooms, running water, anything like that. And I think really my mom, she wanted it that way. So we lived, I guess you could say we were really poor. But we lived off the land. People were farmers, and they shared, everybody shared. There were different cultures there. There were Asian people. I remember there were a lot of Chinese people in Belize. So the time period that we were there, where I remember being 3 years old up to 7 years old. But I know we did travel back and forth, probably to get supplies and different things that we couldn't get in Belize. We went back to California to get those things, and then we'd go back to Belize again. So I'm pretty sure we stayed there maybe until I was 8. I'm not sure. So out there, I remember bathing in the river. We didn't have showers, so I remember bathing in the river. Everyone, they caught their own food. People who ate seafood, they caught crabs, they caught lobsters and different other seafood. We were vegetarian, and my mom and aunt, they were vegetarian chefs at that time, so they were doing a lot of programs with, I remember specifically one program they were doing with my school. The way the schools were set up was it was a two-story building, and the bottom story was infant one. I was in infant one, so that would be like 6-year-olds in infant one, infant two, infant three, infant four, infant five, and then upstairs were standard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And my brother, he was in one of the standard classes, which were upstairs for older children. So she did a program on the school campus where she was doing, like, it was really popular at that time in the United States. Soy had just started becoming popular, but in Belize, a lot of people were very poor. And so my mom, she was doing a program introducing soy to people out there. So she would teach people how to make tofu as another form of protein. So instead of eating meat, then you would have tofu instead. And I also remember her teaching classes. She taught classes in a program for pregnant women. So she would teach pregnant women how to prepare their own foods and to prepare for the baby and to get all their nutrients vegetarian, with vegetarian foods rather than meat. So that was something that I remember they were pioneers with doing that in Belize. Let's see, some other things about Belize. I remember that we used to travel to a small island called Hopkins, and that was where my aunt, she had a midwife there. So we'd go back and forth to Hopkins, which I have really fond memories of traveling on boat to get to that island. I also remember that there were no televisions. There was one specific man that had a television. Actually, there were two. There was a little shack that we would go to watch those movies that were very popular in the United States, but they became popular much later in Belize because people didn't hear about them until afterwards. So I remember seeing a few of the popular movies there in that little shack, crowded with people. And so after living in Belize, we moved to, well, a little bit more about the culture. There were also the Garifuna people there. The Garifuna there are a lot of different stories of how the Garifuna came from West Africa to Belize. Some people believe that they escaped a slave ship and built their own communities in Belize and other places in the Caribbean, but there are other stories. Nobody really knows for sure. Actually, I don't know for sure. Maybe there are historians out there who know for sure how it all came to be that the Garifuna people came there. But there are just some amazing traditions that they have. They celebrate this day where they believe that if you go into the ocean, you'll become a mermaid. So I'll tell that story another time. So there were a lot of ocean animals that I was able to see as a child going swimming. And we went to this specific, a certain place called the Blue Hole. I don't think I have a picture here, but if you go to my Facebook, you just send me a message if you want to see the picture of where we went to the Blue Hole. This is a very popular area now where there's this actual hole in the middle of the ocean that goes so deep that there's tunnels underneath the ground. And so we went there, and I remember that there was a branch hanging over that part of the water where there was this branch here that I remember holding on to the branch because we were swimming in the water, and that I was told if I didn't hold on and I fell down into this swirling water like this whirlpool, that I would get sucked down into China. That's what people would joke about, but come to find out, as I grew older, I did some research about it, and it's actually a tunnel under the ground. So that was a pretty amazing thing to remember. So from there we moved to California. That's when my mom and aunt we were in San Diego, and my mom and aunt were working with she was working with Makeda Dread, who does a lot of the reggae festivals in California. And she had 2 vegetarian restaurants at the time. So my mom and aunt were working with her, and they started selling their own burgers millet burgers. So they started selling millet burgers, and they would also do catering for different concerts and different things like that. And so from there, we moved to Jamaica. So we moved to Jamaica. See, I don't have any pictures of us in Jamaica, but if you go to my Facebook, AyidaHonor.com, Ayida Honor on Facebook, you can see my videos there. My mom has been sending me the clips of me in Jamaica, so you can check those out. So in Jamaica, I think we only stayed there 1 year, and then we moved back to California, and then we came back. So I moved back and forth a lot. And in Jamaica, when we first moved there, we lived in this really amazing mansion in an area called Coral Gardens. And it was just something that, I don't know if it was luck or if my mom had prearranged it. She had some friends who were subletting this place, I think. And so in the middle of the night, we got on a plane and we arrived there in the middle of the night. I remember waking up in this new house. I think I was about 13. And we stayed there till I was just turning 15. And it was a very beautiful house. We did a lot of cleaning to get it in order. There were it was just a huge mess. But once we cleaned it up, it was a beautiful, beautiful mansion with a huge yard. And you'll see, if you go to my Facebook, the video of me on the veranda looking over, where you can look straight down to the ocean from my backyard. And there was this path I would go through where I could walk straight down this hill and go straight to the beach. And that was one of my most fond memories of Jamaica, is being able to just walk straight to the beach. So we lived there for quite a while, and then we moved to another house, which was more in the city. It was very loud there. We lived near a garage where they would fix up cars, and they also it was a racetrack over there and a ramp, so it was super loud. A much smaller house. I went to a different school, and the school that I went to there was called Mount Alvernia, and that was a nice school. But one of the things about Jamaica is that education is super important, super strict. It was a Catholic school, and I couldn't play around. Like, I had to concentrate. So school was not as much fun as the other school that I had gone to before that one. And I just remember that the other children, they were a little bit jealous. Some of the children were jealous of me because of my accent, and I never really fit in too well in that school, but I did try to make friends. I don't think I really made very many friends at that school, but let's see, when we moved to Atlanta, well, I had other friends though, outside of school, neighborhood friends and everything. We'd go to the beach, and I also had my really good friend, Khadijah Cliff, Jimmy Cliff's daughter. We were very, very close, and she also went to Mount Alvernia, but she's younger than me. So we didn't go at the same time, I don't think, but we used to go. Her mom used to come pick me and my mother up, and we'd go to these amazing mineral baths, and we would just be all over the place. We'd go to concerts. We did a whole lot of concerts. We went to a whole lot of reggae concerts. I've probably seen every reggae artist that performed during that was popular during the 90s. Garnet Silk, Ziggy Marley. I mean, the list goes on and on. I've seen them all, and I'm really grateful for that, because I still love reggae music to this day, probably because of that. So one of the amazing things that I loved about Jamaica was the culture, because I remember going to Ocho Rios and, going to Dunn's River Falls. I remember Negril. Negril was so beautiful, one of the most beautiful islands. And there they had these wood crafters that were out of this world amazing, wood crafters. And I remember going to this village where, it was a wood crafting village where you can go and purchase different things made of wood with carvings and everything. And it still influences my art now to this day, my beadwork and everything, just how amazing and intricate their work was. Also the woven baskets, and in Montego Bay, going to the marketplace, there were these amazing basket weavers there that made purses and mats, and just very intricate, and that also influences my beadwork that I do now. So Jamaica was amazing. I loved it. I especially loved just the culture and just being around the music and the food and the people out there. So we moved to Atlanta let me see. I think we moved to California for a little while, then we moved to Atlanta. So we lived in Atlanta for a little while, but then I started doing really bad in school. I got involved with a friend who just was a little bit too experienced, and she was just wild and did whatever she wanted, and we just started being wild together, and my grades got really bad in school. So my mom, she had me go to Piney Woods, Mississippi, which was a boarding school. And that I went there for a summer camp when I was 15. And I have a video of me actually on Facebook again. You can check that out, of me just moving into the dorm room when I went to Piney Woods. And that's a whole nother story in itself. So I was at Piney Woods for the summer camp. Then I went one semester in the fall. Then the next year, we moved to St. Croix, the Virgin Islands. So when we moved to St. Croix, that is my most recent memories, and I have some pictures of that. So when I first moved there, I was in high school, and St. Croix Central High School. This is my best friend from high school, Tiffany Nieves. And so we had a whole lot of fun at that school. We were both American, going to school there. So that's one thing we had in common. Well, we were both from the mainland, basically. And then later on, my cousin Malika moved out there with me, and we were just, we just hung out. We had a great time together. She stayed there for, I think, a semester, and then she moved back to Atlanta. So St. Croix, that was high school. That was just like a coming of age kind of time. And, the history was nice there, but I was so oblivious to that. I just wanted to have fun. I was just hanging out. That was basically what I was doing when I was in St. Croix, hanging out, going to school. I graduated. Then right after graduation, I came right back to the mainland. I think we came to, was it Atlanta? No, I actually, right after I graduated, I think the next day I flew to California. And from California, I stayed in Los Angeles for a couple months. Then I moved to Oakland. And so I lived in Oakland from the age of 18 to 21. And I met my husband when I turned 21. He's 25, and the rest is history. So that was a trip down memory lane. I hope that you guys enjoyed hearing about my travels. It's been amazing. I still one day want to go back to the islands and just let my children see what it's like and everything. They like looking at the videos and seeing me out there. So I know that if they don't go with me, when they grow up, they're going to want to go and travel on their own. And yeah, those were great experiences. They helped to make me who I am as an artist. Also, it helped to ground me. I'm the kind of person, though, now, like, I don't really like to move around a whole lot. And I used to get a lot of anxiety whenever we'd have to move. But I've gotten a whole lot better with that. So, but now I really do. I actually appreciate it a whole lot more, just looking back on how it can make you stronger, getting to see all the cultures and getting to experience just everything that traveling has to offer. And so I'm glad for it. I think that it's made me who I am, and I'm really proud of how I've come along. So if you have any questions about my travels and where I've been to, or any specific areas that you'd like to hear more about, places that I've been to, just let me know. And thanks for watching this video. And I hope that you'll subscribe, like, and comment. And peace.